And good morning, everyone. We are live. I seem to have some internet issues. Can you guys hear me okay on your side?
We can hear you. Yeah. We can hear you.
Well, wonderful. Welcome to Afterglow Live Recap Podcast. My name is Syya.
And I'm Erin Gregor.
And we are the Dallas Chapter Chairs for Global Leaders Organization. We're also the founders of Innovation Media Enterprises. So what are we recapping? We discuss Global Leaders Organization speaker series that highlight some amazing speakers that they curate weekly. And we're basically going to take their awesome takeaways, lessons learned, advice, and discuss whether it's something that we could apply in our own business and personal lives. So this week we had Fathelbab. He is author of The Friendship Advantage, and he shared his thoughts on the value of forums as a conduit to building deeper business relationships. We've asked our special GLO member this week to join us. His name is Jonas Bull. He is the chief thinker at Virturena. Welcome, Jonas.
Hi, Erin. Hi, Syya. Thanks for having me on. I think of myself as a business model innovator. I'm a trail runner, a nonlinear thinker, an infovore, an anthropologist, technologist, and a terrible but persistent guitarist with an MBA recently.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah. We joined GLO earlier this year because we saw these great relationships that were being built. We stayed because of the amazing content, and of course because Syya and Erin are amazing. I'm working with some partners on this Virturena project. Jonathan Anderson, a friend of yours, Jeff Knockham, and Josh Hurst, to get this project launched, which is an immersive, social, human-centric social engagement platform for customer experience, for doing virtual tours, for events, and so on. So instead of signing into Zoom or Facebook Live or something and just sort of basically watching someone else, you can, I guess, just imagine a world where you and your friends or your peers are able to walk around and engage with the environment and engage with each other, even make purchases and interact with the unique features of an event space. That's Virturena.
I like it.
I love it. I love it. So when we're talking about GLO, guys, Erin and I were talking about the community and what how we're growing to build the Dallas chapter specifically. And so this discussion with Fathelbab, again, author of The Friendship Advantage, it was, I think, hit close to home because we are trying to build a community here of, business peers on our journey. And the idea of a forum, I didn't think about it in the context that Mo is talking about it. So, Erin, how do you define and do you think there's a difference between a mastermind versus forum the way Mo defines it?
Yeah, we were talking about this before we hit record or before we went live. And I don't know. So the facilitator is the one thing that could be a differentiator. And I was asking you guys if you knew, and maybe somebody can comment. I see Joseph's on. He probably knows a little bit more about these, but is it like the facilitator? Are they part of your group? Because Mo was talking about how he's trained to be a facilitator, but he doesn't want to be the facilitator of his group because he wants to be in the group. So do you always have this person kind of outside the mastermind group who is driving it and help facilitating it? But even that works in masterminds. Like I used to run masterminds, and I wasn't telling people about my business necessarily. I had people in a group together that we were focused on their businesses. So I don't know how much of a difference there is. I'm still trying to figure all that out, but very, very similar concepts, which I think I'm all behind.
So Jonas, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of wonder about that too. I do think that having having someone who is perhaps not fully invested in somebody who doesn't have a stake in the outcome as a facilitator could be beneficial to kind of be the referee, if you will. I can see that being a beneficial aspect to the forum concept, but I don't know how you would have that long term um, without having an investment, become generated in the group somehow.
Okay, so I've been okay. So yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So I've been part of mastermind groups that just fell apart completely, and Erin's actually part of a mastermind, and every now and then I hear them talking, and I'm kind of jealous in a way of there's that I don't know, what is it? Is it that dedication, discipline? What is it, Erin, that has made your mastermind group be so successful, or at least stayed together?
Yeah, so we were talking again before this, and I was saying there's a huge difference what I've found between people who are invested financially versus, yeah, let's be a mastermind, it's great.
Right.
There's been a huge difference in those, and 90% of the free ones that I've joined, even quote unquote dedicated people, always seem to fall apart. You set this agenda and, oh, I got busy, sorry, gotta go. I think what's allowed us to be very successful, and this is a free one, like I said, when people are invested financially, it's a different story, but what's made this successful is we meet weekly, which is huge. Because what happens is when you kind of do bi-weekly or monthly, if you miss because something comes up, because something will come up, right? You can't make every month, but if you miss, then all of a sudden it's like you really kind of become more disconnected, which makes a difference. And then we are all invested. We are not just, hey, I saw a cool business, so I think I might want to start one. Like, we're all very serious in our businesses. And I was telling you guys, we've taken it even a step further. We're all around the country, but we will meet on a weekend. We'll take a long weekend and meet in person and just do deep dives into our business, but have fun too. And that's really made a huge difference in the stickiness of it. Like, these are people that Mo talked a lot about this yesterday, that ability to get deeper and not just, they know what's going on with my family. Sometimes that's what's wrong with my business, is I'm having a family issue and trying to, get through this. So it's those things that we are very vulnerable. We've talked about husbands, we've talked about family, but majority is business. But I think that is really important. And in the in-person really allowed us to take our friendships at a deeper level, which makes us trust each other. So it's all of those things.
I think Erin, you nailed a couple key concepts. Trust, I think, is probably the fundamental ingredient for a successful forum or a mastermind or any kind of relationship, right? If a group of individuals no longer trust each other to keep secrets, if you will, I don't know, or for those that do feel vulnerable and they can't trust that that's going to be, quote, I know you're gonna laugh at when I say this, safe space. I could see where relationships just fall apart, right? Jonas, can I ask gently, do you feel like you can trust freely? Are you comfortable being vulnerable in a professional perspective?
In a professional perspective, probably more so. To be honest, no. I think that the trust and vulnerability aspect of it is very important, because I don't easily trust to share personal things, and as Erin mentioned, sometimes the personal things are really what is hampering your business. So having a forum to talk about personal things, and I think it's a shame that we have allowed ourselves to have concepts like safe space and vulnerability be be turned into negative things, because it's so important to have a place where you can express the things that are hurting you, or things that are holding you back, even if it's in a professional sense, just the fact that you know, maybe you feel like that you don't have the education that you need, or that you know, imposter syndrome. We've talked about that on this program before. You know, those things are very important to moving forward with your professional and personal life. And if you don't have a safe space to talk about those, literally, you know, where do you talk about them? I mean, how do you deal with that? And badly is usually the answer.
Yeah. As much as I am hearing you guys, I don't know why, for me personally, though I'm an extrovert and you guys know this, I don't find comfort in vulnerability. That is a very hard place to be in. How have you guys taken yourself out of that discomfort zone and put yourself and allow yourself to be vulnerable?
Well, if there's one thing I learned from my very first podcast, it was, I thought I was crazy because I had all the doubts and the rolling inner voice of, you can't do this. Who are you to do this? And I realized that everybody has that, but it's the people who kind of put up their middle finger up to it and move forward who get past it. So my goal didn't become, you know, how can I not have that voice, but it's how can I get past that voice and move forward? And so for me, I know everybody's dealing with that. And again, you know, social media is a MFer because it just puts this front on where you're like, oh my God, like they're killing it. They're not struggling. And that's what's so great to have a group that you can flat out say. And I feel like you have to be vulnerable to get to that next step. You have to be vulnerable to be able to grow, because if you're just smiling like everything's great, no one can help you. They can't help you because they don't know how to help you, and you're not, you know, you're not really sharing the issue. So for me, my goal is to grow, and I have to be willing to say the uncomfortable things or admit I don't know, and be able to get to that next level.
Well, and you know, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jonas. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just thinking that as you're saying that you know, it's not even just that we have these weaknesses, but that no one can have all the skills. No one can have all the answers. And we have an opportunity with these engagements, whether it's forums or masterminds, to take on board additional information, to share our weaknesses, and thereby strengthen those weaknesses, and not just personally, of course, but I was talking to a friend, a new friend, as a result of Startup Week that just ended, Monique at Folks International Group, about how the era of this sort of the kingdom business that's owned by, you know, one person, and the one person runs it, and that's the thing, that's over. Jonathan and I actually have talked about often about how that we as business leaders, we have to build relationships. We can't just be isolated, and to build our empire, we have to collaborate and build relationships. To I guess we say we have to collaborate to be competitive. And personally and in business, we have to build those relationships that are complementary and even somewhat competitive, to drive us forward and lift us up at the same time.
You mentioned the competition, which I took notes on. Was and I loved that Mo actually smiled a little bit. I don't know if you guys caught that when he said it. He's like, first and foremost, you need to first be disciplined and be committed to it. That was the first thing, right? Because that's kind of a critical part. Second part was, as you're curating, if he's going to be the facilitator, for example, or if you want to be a facilitator of your own mastermind or forum, is no competition. Do not put your competitor direct in there, because obviously that's not a safe space to talk about weaknesses in your business in front of your competitor. He says your business partners, do not put your business partners in there. And then the third one cracked me up. In-laws, don't put your in-laws in there either, right? So if you're going to be a facilitator, how would you look for these individuals in? How would you think to curate a group of individuals? And it was a smaller group. You said no more than 8. How would you go about it if you were to be launching your own forum?
Well,
Well,
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think the biggest piece is you've got to have people in the same, like we've talked about this many times. The word entrepreneur can be used very loosely. And so really to get a lot of value, you want people that can really benefit from each other. Like you don't want, a couple newbies and a couple seasoned entrepreneurs in the, 9-figure mark, right? Like that's really not going to do much for the 9-figure people outside of mentoring. So you want to have people who are in the same, not the same businesses, because I think there's so much to learn from different industries, but in very similar places within their business. That's be the first thing to look for.
So you're saying, so you want to find, if you're going to be launching a startup, you want to put a bunch of startup folks in the same space. You don't want someone that's mature in their business with someone that's starting out. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I would do. Like if you have, X amount of employees and X amount of income, try to keep those people in similar groups, because they're going to deal with a different set of problems and need work through versus I need investors, right? Like that's, to me, I would keep those like-minded together.
Interesting. Jonas, what do you think about that?
I actually was thinking I was going to start from a different perspective, I guess. But I think the Erin brings up a pretty valid point there in terms of. So I was going to say that in terms of personality and diversity of viewpoint, that is having those different perspectives, having different backgrounds, and to some extent even different stages of business can be very valuable. But as Erin points out, there is a limit to how much. There's a limit to what that delta can be. Like you say, if somebody is going to be a startup, very starting out, us with Virturena versus somebody who's done 3 startups and exited in the millions. We're going to be so focused on trying to get them to give us some money that it's not going to be valuable really for either one of us. On the other hand, I think that's where a good strong facilitator who is really focused on making the group work rather than what they can get out of it can help set and enforce some ground rules of okay, these are subjects that we just stay away from because they're divisive to the group or they're not healthy for moving the group forward. And that's where that strong facilitator, if you did that with an unmoderated group, you would unquestionably have conflicts and splits develop. But I think that's where that facilitator comes in, is to maintain the cohesion of the group. Even at the expense of their own popularity, let's say, like they may end up with everybody mad at them, but the group is together. Does that make sense?
Right. No, I hear you on that. So the other thing that I like that Mo had said was these forums are not meant to give advice to the peers in your group. It is meant for you to share your experiences and you decide what lessons you want to take away from that. That's easier said than done, you guys, right? Don't we all naturally have a tendency to want to give advice to someone and give feedback?
And seek advice. We want somebody to tell us what to do.
Yeah, we kind of do. True.
And so in your mastermind, Erin, do you guys seek advice from one another, or is it where you're sharing experience and you're all just kind of writing it down, if you will?
I mean, the answer to that is kind of yes. Like it's not advice. Like we just had a conversation on Tuesday. One of the girls was trying to figure out how to price a particular object and how to offer it. And I guess it was kind of advice, but I basically just told her what worked for a client of mine. It's like, well, they did this way, and this is how they priced it, and this is how they did it. And it wasn't like, I'm going to hate you if you don't take this and run with it. But it was, I guess, advice, because it was, this is what worked. And she was like, oh my gosh, I love that idea, and wrote it down. But it wasn't advice like I'd be really offended if she didn't do anything with it. However, I think there's a line though too, like I'd want to be in a group of people who are actually like, who aren't like complaining about the same thing over and over and over again and not willing to do something about it.
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't
There's
know.
a different name for those.
Yes, that starts with an ask, but
ends with a hole. I get it.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is kind of more advice versus what works, but it's not advice that you have to take. So I don't know the answer to that one.
Got it.
Yeah, I really like the idea of sharing your story in the sense, you know, if you think of it as case studies of you know, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and I think the exposing vulnerability, making it into a safe space, to keep pounding that word in, has the it gives you the option to say, not to share not just your great victories, but also your defeats, which are tremendously instructive as well.
That's very true. So Frank Gustafson, giving a shout out. Thanks for joining as always. And I had asked him earlier about his experiences with his groups that he's participated in. And one of the things for him that he said the reason why it failed was that lack of trust. But he also said common sense of purpose backed by accountability. I like that too, because in a way, when you're curating a group like this, if you guys are all marching to a singular tune, if you will, or at least know where you're rowing your boat towards, do you think that's going to help increase the success of the longevity of this group and deeper relationships? Erin, do you think that's what's happening for yours? Is that you guys have that sense of purpose together, or that's not it?
I think that definitely helps. It helps you become more invested in making it work and making it right and wanting to grow and be better. Yeah, I would be curious to that question though. I would really be curious how many business owners, and I know we can't answer this at all, this is more rhetorical, but how many business owners that are in the midst of their business, whether it's successful or not, truly feel they're living their purpose? I think it's a lot less than we think.
Wait, the purpose we're supposed to be living with, Erin? I don't understand what you're talking about here.
Are you being sarcastic? Okay. I'm like, are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm not. I am and I'm not at the same time,
like,
right?
You know, you have was he saying a purpose in the group, or like you are very purposeful in your business, and that's how I take it. Like they feel there's a greater purpose as to why they're running their business. That's how I took that comment. Maybe that was incorrect on my part, but or was it purpose in the group? I don't know. But my like to that, like if it's really driving that they're, and hopefully Frank is on where you can answer that, but like how many business owners feel that they're driving, what they're building and what they're driving for is like their purpose, right? Like that's what you're supposed to do. Find your purpose and your passion and build a business. And how many people are actually being driven by that?
That's a good point. Joseph actually joined in on here on the Facebook side of it, which is awesome. He pointed out the difference between a facilitator and moderator. So that's interesting because I didn't really think about that. Erin, in your
I don't have an answer. Don't ask me. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to go to Jonas then. Do you think there's a difference between facilitator and moderator?
In terms of common usage, not always, but I would say yes. Technically, a moderator is there to kind of keep things even, moderate them, whereas a facilitator is there to make things easier and facilitate the flow of things. Sometimes those functions are the same, but oftentimes they may not be. Like there's a lot of times where something needs to be squelched, and that would probably be more of a moderation function. Whereas I was thinking about it in terms of like the different businesses and the different personalities, especially where if you have someone who is less extroverted than Syya and I are sometimes, and more likely to sit back and just listen, which I also do, that the facilitator would call them out and say, okay, Syya, I need you to stop talking for a minute so that Erin can say what she wants to say, and let's hear from that. And that would be a facilitator function more so than a moderator function, in my mind.
That's interesting, because I have been told that. Sorry, Erin. And also, Egbert actually added, he has a different thought. He thinks a great moderator can handle any situation, no matter what level participant is on the floor. Diversity is important. And if we only focus on what we get, rather than give, we cannot grow. So everyone's a teacher is basically saying, so it's a back and forth, and the moderator is just simply, I guess, to handle the situation. So Egbert, type in a little bit, if you don't mind, a little bit more detail on that, because I'm a little bit confused on that. And Eddie, thank you for adding on. He said you have to get out of your comfort zone. Mike Weiner is actually takes it on a little bit further. He said vulnerability is a path to joy, happiness, and freedom, and full self-expression. So if we are going to do this as a group and in a forum and speak candidly with one another, do you think that's a path to joy and happiness? Jonas, do you think that is the case?
Is joint happiness the goal, though? Really? I mean, we don't want to decrease happiness with this, but I think I don't know that pursuit of happiness would really necessarily be the. I guess it depends on how you define happiness. That's a pretty nebulous concept in a lot of ways. I think happiness, in the sense of being more content, being more able to pursue your purpose, to Erin's point, and more, feeling more at home in your business and personal life. If you define that as happiness, then yes, I for sure. If you're thinking more joy and just happy party time, then I don't think that that's necessarily the goal. But yeah, in terms of more contentment and more feeling more competent and feeling less of an imposter, then yes, I think that would definitely be a goal of this.
So, Erin, do you have any additional thoughts to summarize what you think about with Mo's discussion and the concept of the forum? Because we do have an exciting announcement to talk about GLO.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's really important. You've heard this a million times. It's lonely being a business owner. It really is, because you're struggling with stuff. You think you get really excited about this thing you're building, and here's the deal. It's worthwhile, but it feels like, with every level you go up, it never gets easy, right? There's always, okay, now you have employees doing, well, now you're done with employees, or now you have this. And so to surround yourself with like-minded people and to be able to talk those things through, because sometimes we feel like we're the dumbest person in the room, or we're the only ones dealing with this. And the truth of the matter is probably not. I mean, there's a 99.9% chance somebody else is dealing with this. I think it's just so important to be able to surround yourself and talk those things through. And what was the event? I can't remember, but it was like a couple where I think it was Gary Hoover, where he talked about how important it is to see what other industries are doing versus just your own. And this is a great way to do it too. You're getting, hey, this worked in I never would have thought of that. And you're getting that one-on-one versus trying to dig in and see what other companies are doing. But I just think it's so important, because I think entrepreneurship, nobody tells you how lonely it is. It's really, really lonely.
It is. And especially when you think you would get that level of support. I think that's why the importance of forums does exist. So you guys, we're wrapping up on time again, and these 30 minutes are so fast. So Jonas, thank you so much for joining us. If someone wants to get a hold of you, how and where can they get a hold of you?
I am on LinkedIn. I'm connected to you guys, so you can find me that way. I'm available by email at jonas@virturena.com, virturena.com. And we're at the early stages right now, so please feel free to connect and refer us to customers or investors. We'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. And Erin, if you wouldn't mind closing us out on GLO.
Yeah. So Joseph asked on the GLO platform. I'm not quite sure. Oh, connected. I know you can join. Okay. Yes, you can connect with Jonas over in the GLO platform too.
Yes, thank you.
With GLO, GLO.com. So Syya and I are the co-chairs of the Dallas chapter. What we do on Fridays is we talk about the Thursday event. So you can, if you go to withglo, GLO.com, you can sign up for these Thursday events for free every Thursday. If you join us live, they're free. If you missed Mo's presentation yesterday and you're really bummed because you really want to hear what he had to say, you can join as a basic member and get 2 of those previous presentations for free. So, and then I don't have all the details. I don't think you do yet either, Syya, but I guess GLO will be launching a whole forum model. So they'll be able to put these groups together. We talked about how important they are. So hopefully that's sold you on why you need to join the Dallas chapter with us, or a chapter if you're not in Dallas.
Exactly. And so if you're super excited with our discussions, next week we are GLO, Global Leaders Organization, is welcoming Colonel Nicole Malachowski. She's going to be discussing the business growth strategies in adversity. And she is amazing. And the fact that she's a colonel, I cannot wait to dig in and hear about her stories in the U.S. Air Force. So on that note, any things you'd like to add, Erin?
No, I'm good.
All right. So that wraps it up for another episode of the After GLO Live Recap Podcast. Everyone have a safe weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.